What's going on, everybody? This is Polo Kerber, and you are tuned into the Advance and Win podcast, the show where we teach how to raise your game above and beyond the lines. I'm joined by two-time All-Star, McDonald's All-American, Pac-10 Freshman of the Year, NBA legend, Baron Davis. Appreciate you joining me today.
What's happening?
So we're in Final Four. We're in Houston. It's March Madness. We're actually in the national championship now, but it's March Madness weekend. When you look at the championship, what would be some advice that you would give to the guys that are left?
Man, just go out and have fun. I mean, we never played in the championship. I didn't get a chance in college, but, I would just say live in the moment. You made it to the game you're supposed to make it to. And, at this point, it ain't no losers. You just go out and give your best effort, do what's best for the team, and just think about, just stand poised, stand confident, and just going out there and making your mark. I wish I did coach. You know what I mean? I wish I was coaching.
Right.
I give a hell of a motivational speech.
So you had one of the best, probably NBA upsets in playoff history when you were on the Golden State Warriors. So what would be the difference? What's the difference on the NBA side? You get a 7-game series compared to college when it's just one and done.
College is any that's why upsets happen.
Right.
Surprises happen. But I think in the NBA is, it's really about the matchup. It's according to the matchup. So a 7-game series, if it's a 1 versus 8, and that one has, a better record over the season series than that 8, then in the course of 7 games, it should, the better team should win, especially having home court advantage. College is much different because there's no home court advantage. It's just, it's one game. Either you're ready or you're not. Right. Whoever's the most prepared or have the best game that day could be the victorious team.
So you were Pac-10 Freshman of the Year. Where would you stack up the Pac-10 versus the other conferences in college basketball?
It's hard to tell right now because, you have no Pac-10 or Pac-12 schools in the Final Four. Right. But, I just think that the talent in the West, and the Pac-10, Pac-12 has always been great. Right. You got a lot of balance, a lot of versatility. And as you saw in the tournament, there was a lot of teams, that had an opportunity to win it, including UCLA. We had a couple guys get hurt. One of our main guys get hurt before the tournament even started. But, still a strong effort. And I think Pac-12 basketball is always going to be here to stay. And I know UCLA is ultimately going on to play in the Big Ten or whatever that conference is called. So, just enjoying it. It's something new every week.
Right.
So I'm just enjoying it while I can. You know what I mean? And I you look at the legacy of Pac-12, Pac-10 basketball, some of the greatest, 75 greatest NBA players come out of.
So you talk about that conference, the greatness, that school. Give me and I don't know if you even have this off the top of your head, but you can include yourself. Who are the top 3 UCLA Bruins
of all time?
Of all time.
Oh, Kareem, Bill Walton, Marcus Johnson.
That's your 3?
Duh.
It's not even
debatable. Like when it comes to UCLA, bro, it's not even debatable. Like, Jamal Wilkes, you got, dudes won 3 out of 4, you know what I mean, in the Wooden era. So it's like, and then went on to be NBA Hall of Famers, you know what I mean, and All-Stars and things. So, we always got to pay homage to the people who come before us. But, if you think about, you got Kevin Love in that, you got Russell Westbrook in that, you know what I mean, Reggie Miller in that, Ed O'Bannon in that. So it's a lot of great legacy. Sure. I would say for me, I just, if I can walk in the room with all those dudes and I get recognized, you know what I mean, and I get respect and they appreciate me for my game and I'm no chump, I can actually have a voice at the table. That's all that matter. You feel what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, you just named a lot of history, a lot of players. Who would have been one player at UCLA you can go after you left or you can go before that you would have wanted to team up with?
Obviously Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
All right, well, take your top 3. Okay. That's cheating. That's undefeated season. Take your top 3 out of it, so we know your top 3. Take them out.
I would have loved to play with Ed O'Bannon.
Okay.
I was just a huge fan of Ed O'Bannon, like, his run in the tournament, that team. Just he was just such a good basketball player and like such a great like superstar, right? As a teammate and as a player, it was just like, being there in LA and watching UCLA go on that run. I mean, I would say Ed O'Bannon would probably be the guy that I would have wanted to play with before me. And then I would say after me, I probably want to play on that team that with Kevin Love and Russ that went to the Final Four because even though they had a great point guard, a super great point guard, and Darren Collison, Aaron Aflalo. I mean, maybe I could have fit in somewhere with that squad, even coming off the bench. But yeah, I would say Kevin Love is another one. He was great. He was just a great college player as well.
Get the right oil and the right filter for the right price every day at Advanced Auto Parts. Advanced Auto Parts makes it simple to build your oil change bundle in the store, online, or using the Advanced Auto Parts app. If you need help, their expert team members are always available to assist drivers like you get back on the road as soon as possible. So, when you're ready to change your vehicle's oil, remember that Advanced Auto Parts is the place to build your bundle. Right oil, right filter, right price every day, only at Advanced Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. So, we just had Mario on the last episode, and I asked him what players currently college or NBA reminded him of him, and he said it was kind of hard for him to name one because the game is so different. Do you feel that same way, or is there anybody that you watch right now and you're like, yeah, that's young me?
Nope. I just think when you come in our area, you try and be like a one-on-one.
Right.
You want to always be somebody that you pattern your game after people that come before you, but you really want to carve out your own niche. So you be a one-on-one, so people want to pattern their game after you, so they can be one-on-ones. Right. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's like I look at all these dudes and I see like a little bit of myself or flair or passing or ability to pull up or athletic ability. So I'm really just a fan of the game. Right. And I think also it's just a different style. Like a lot of these kids are like, they probably grew up watching this, but like, they got their own swag, and especially how the game is played now. It's a lot of threes, a lot of ISOs, a lot of in front of the rim, just with one-on-one with a big guy. Right. So a lot of great finishing guards. But I just love dudes like Dame Lillard, John Morant, De'Aaron Fox, Heat Killer, Shea Alexander. Right. I'm sure I'm missing Halliburton, Heat Code. Yep. I'm just liking this, this new generation, and also like the old dogs, the Kyries, the Stephs. You know what I mean? People like that.
We didn't get to see you kill it as much as we wanted to in college because you tore your ACL. So what was that process like? Like, what was your thoughts when that happened? And then a lot of people don't come back from injuries like that, at least the same caliber that they were before. How did you go on to have the NBA career that you
I think, my story is like an underdog story. Like I've always been written off multiple times in my career. When I got hurt in college, I got written off. He'd never be back and never be able to play like the way he plays. So my whole motivation the next year was just, I'm going to prove to people that I can be better than I was last year. And then after that, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? Like I got to hurry up and get to the NBA because the NBA was my dream, not college. Playing for UCLA was actually a dream come true, but it wasn't like the final destination. I didn't plan on being at UCLA for 4 years and doing all that. I was trying to take the first opportunity to get to the NBA because, I'm looking at all the great point guards, that's still playing. I'm like, I need to put myself in that mix. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so, just like coming back from the injury, that was my determination, was like to get past where I was as a freshman and try to catch every point guard that they had ranked above me.
So when you got drafted, you were third overall, even coming off that injury. What do you think it was about you that made you stand out to the scouts to go that high in the draft on you?
I think it was my basketball IQ and the fact that, I was sneaky athletic. I was just point guard. I was a traditional point guard. You could put me in and run a team.
Right.
You know what I mean? It had nothing to do with my age. It had nothing to do with ability. It had nothing to do with size. Everybody wanted veteran point guards and big, strong point guards that can run the offense and wouldn't get backed down by like Mark Jackson or Ross Strick. You know what I mean? Like, it was a lot of just like being tough.
Yeah.
And, when I came out of college, I was 215. 210, 215. So, nobody was going to push me around. You know what I mean? And so I think that's why I went 3. It was really like just a basketball IQ, the passing ability, and the ability to go to the league and like be matched up against other point guards.
So you were in a dunk contest yourself that you participated in. You were part of the famous Blake Griffin dunk contest. Who would you say that you got to see or play with or play against? Who would you say is the best dunker ever?
The best dunker ever? I mean, you gotta put Dominique in there because he, Dr. J for one, Michael Jordan, Daryl Dawkins. You got Sean Kemp, like before us. Then you think about Kobe. You gotta put Kobe in there because smashed on a gang of people. I mean, Vince Carter, I would say, in my era, was the greatest dunker. Right. You know what I mean? Like crazy. Then you got Gerald Wallace, then Jason Richardson. Oh, yeah. It's like I always define a great dunker by like being able to have game.
Right.
And dunking moments to change the trajectory of the game. You know what I mean? Not somebody who could just had hops and could do dunks. It's like, can you dunk on somebody? Can you get up over the big man? Like, what's the moment? You know what I mean? And so, like,
you have a lot of those dunks in NBA history and changing the game.
Yeah, that was. I mean, we was up 20-something. It was just a moment. You know what I mean?
I actually saying that I didn't realize y'all was up 20, but that's like that's something for me growing up. I remember that. Like, that's probably. If you say, okay, what's one in-game dunk that you remember off the top of your head? It's that.
Yeah. No, it was cool. It was cool. It was just a moment.
It's a cold moment.
Yeah, it was a hell of a moment, and it was like, it was a moment within a moment that was happening, and, I caught Karolinko off guard. You know what I mean? That's in a nutshell, and speaking of just great shot blocker, great basketball player, was an engine, the defensive engine of Utah, and, ultimately they prevailed in the series because of him challenging every shot. You know what I mean? Making our lives difficult. It's just, you take advantage of a moment, you saw a moment, and, that moment kind of lives on through NBA history as
love that moment.
As a great dunk.
What would you say going from college to the NBA? What's the biggest change in transition?
You on your own.
Right.
You gotta make every decision yourself, day-to-day decisions, and then I would say now it's different because everybody in the league is young. When I was there, I was the youngest on the team, probably one of the youngest in the league at the time. So everybody had kids and was married and families and, grown men, you know what I mean, in their 30s. Now I just think it's just adjusting to travel.
Yep.
Adjusting to making decisions on your own. And then also the stamina and the frequency that you have to play. In college, you practice all week, play Thursday, play Saturday. Right? NBA is like you got back-to-back. You probably play 4 games in 5 nights, then get 2 days off and do it again. Right? And be in 4 different cities at the same time. So it's just adjusting the time management, and really just making the decision. A lot of times it's just the decisions, the things you choose to do, the things you choose not to do, that can dictate how great you can be as a basketball player, as an athlete anyway.
When you went into the NBA, do you remember what your first big purchase was?
Yeah, I bought a car, GS 400.
Oh, wow.
Lexus. Still got it.
You still got it?
Still got it.
It's still riding?
Pristine, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, we be riding. Still the TV, still working it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was my first car. I always said, like, I wanted my car to kind of, when I had kids, like that would be their first car, and it would be like a 40-year-old car. You know what I mean?
Right. I was going to ask what your first car was, but that was your first car.
That was my first car.
Wow. Okay, so your first.
Yeah, that's the first car I bought.
Right.
You know what I mean? With my money.
Right.
Actually, no. With my money. With my NBA money.
Right. But you didn't have like a hoopty or anything like that when you're at high school?
I had a couple cars, and I was like, in high school and college. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Okay, so
I went through a couple cars before I actually got my NBA check.
Yeah.
And like,
it's crazy. You still got it.
Expedition, an Eddie Bauer. I had a blazer, an infamous blazer.
Right. That's dope. Okay, so I mean, we were talking about college and like transition. So now these players can make money. What would be some insight that you can give, and maybe even to share some of the insight of the business that you're in right now? What do you have going on? And what would be some of your advice as well to some of the kids that are seeing more money than they've ever seen before?
Yeah, I mean, you're in college, right? For a long time, college athletes didn't get paid. I don't think money should be the driving factor. You use the college opportunity as an experience. Right. You know what I mean? Some people are there for 4 years. Some people are there for a pit stop. But ultimately, it's like you do get to professionalize, your life and who you are as a brand, but don't just like fall for the money. Take the opportunity to learn a lesson. That's why I always say, like, the money is great. The money is great, but the lesson and the opportunity is phenomenal. Right? Because now you have another avenue to go in. And, just thinking about when I was in college and got hurt and people wrote me off, if there was NIL, opportunities, I probably would have wound up interning and doing more stuff as I was playing basketball than just like, posing, for product or posting for product. So, don't just fall a victim into like trying to grab all the money you can grab now. Right. Really take the opportunity to learn why you're getting money, who's giving you money, and how, your brand and who you are can match up.
So what's some of the business that you're working on yourself that you have now that, you're post-career?
A lot of marketing, branding, content. So we run a content studio and platform called Slick, Sports, Lifestyle, and Culture. And a lot of it is connecting brand to the influencer and the creative, and then coming up with creative content that, we pitch to brands and pitch to, the talent, and let the talent start to, be seen as real content creators and producers. And so, we kind of stand in the middle as the main studio and creative agency. And it's been great because we've been able to partner cool brands with, cool content creators. We're getting a lot into NIL. So it gives me an opportunity to, partner with a lot of dudes that I've watched grow up and now become head coaches in college and be able to help their program or some of their athletes get deals, right? And it's not always about the $1 million deal. Right. Like, I think the important thing is like the $2,000 deal, the $10,000 deal, because a lot of these schools, they don't have, the wherewithal or the bandwidth to be able to like afford to play in the game. So it's like if you can help some of these smaller schools or smaller programs, get their athletes opportunities and with cool brands, I think that that it helps level the playing field, and it one-ups the coach and things like that. So, a lot of my homeboys is coaching. Right. And so I want to be able to like help them, help their program, but also help the brands. I think that, the college kids are the real influencers, the next generation of content creators. And so it's important that, we allow them the platform to build.
Last question for you. Final Four weekend, national champion. Who's your prediction?
I don't know, man. It's like two great teams. San Diego State, I'm going with the home team. San Diego State, we from LA, so we Southern California all the way through and through. The homie Bottoms and Kawhi, a bunch of our LA Unified brothers went to San Diego State. Yep. I like UConn, though. They got some ballers and they play great defense, but, if I'm rooting for somebody, I'm definitely rooting for San Diego State.
Bro, does UConn not have a national championship?
They have like 5.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Rip Hamilton got one.
Okay. I know they've been to a lot of
Kemba Walker, I believe, had one. I'm not sure if Ray Allen got one, but they got a couple. They got some squads.
I saw something earlier about like how neither the men's or the women's finals had national champions. I'm like, UConn definitely has two. Okay, yeah, maybe I saw some. I saw some bad info.
Probably minus UConn.
Right. minus UConn. Everybody else. Well, yeah, man, I really appreciate you jumping on the podcast. This is Polo Kerber. This has been Advance and Win with Baron Davis. Appreciate you jumping on.
Appreciate y'all.
We gon' keep it going till it's raining confetti.